Hello and welcome to Never Miss a Monday. I am your host, Stacey Garcia. And today we are talking about how your DNA influences stress, burnout, and energy. I am joined by Lane Kennedy. Lane is a functional DNA nutritionist, mindfulness teacher, and senior sober contributor at the Sober Curator. Based in San Francisco, she is the creator of the Self Mastery Hub and the highly sought after stress management sessions, where she helps individuals and organizations transform stress, burnout, and fatigue into clarity and resilience. Lane's work uniquely bridges cutting-edge genetic science with mindfulness and nervous system regulation, helping people better understand their biology so they can live more aligned, energized, and resilient lives. Lane, welcome to Never Miss a Monday.
Thanks for having me, Stacey. It's good to be with you.
I'm
Never miss a
so
Monday. I
Yes.
love that.
Never miss a Monday. We never miss a Monday over here. And we're going to dive right into why that is. But before
Mhm.
we do, I would love to get to know you a little bit more. Can you share just a little about your background and what led you to become a functional DNA nutritionist and mindfulness teacher?
Sure. Uh, so I live in San Francisco. I'm a mom of a teenager. I have two Irish wolfhounds, and I came into this work as a functional DNA nutritionist because I was interested when my son was born. DNA was just kind of bubbling to the surface, 17 years ago. And I invested in a company and I started learning about DNA and really kind of wanted to understand what he was going to be, like what was going to make him different. I wanted to know at the time, I really struggled from an autoimmune condition and the doctors told me that I would never be able to conceive. And suddenly I was pregnant and like why, right? So I wanted to go down the DNA path and just like understand like what makes me and him uniquely him and his dad, like all those components. And when he was born, I had this, well, a lot of ladies suffer from postpartum, and my postpartum was it's so debilitating. And again, I didn't understand. So I went down the DNA path to understand, like, why am I so broken feeling? And so that really helped me to understand that. And fast forward, when my son was about 4, and this under 6 years old, I remember very specifically jumping out of the car, yelling at somebody because they weren't driving fast enough. So I went from this very calm person to an extreme rage attack. And again, like, why was this happening? What was going on with me? And so at that point, that's when I kind of kicked off this bigger path, bigger mission of mine of understanding, what's the body mind connection? Where does mindfulness fall into this? How can I become more mindful? How can I put pauses in my day? How can I regulate my nervous system? And I was doing this before this was kind of like a hot topic, so this, nobody was really pushing and talking about it back then. So I was, in the library doing research, you know, reading lengthy articles that I couldn't understand. I didn't have ChatGPT,
Right.
like,
Right.
um, there weren't even any like mindfulness teachers here in San Francisco that I could go to at that time. So that's kind of how everything unraveled for me is my own curiosity and I wanted to understand my own body and my son's.
That's so interesting. And I feel you on a lot of levels. I wasn't diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, but I was diagnosed with cancer at a young
Sure,
age
sure.
and with two young children.
Mm,
And so it definitely wakes you up to like,
yeah,
all right, what's going on here? What is out
yeah,
of balance? And at the time, I thought I was living like the healthiest life possible.
right.
And then I realized mindfulness and throughout the day mindfulness, not just meditation in the morning. By the way, what
Mhm.
does your shirt say? I can't read it. It says meditation. Oh, and
Oh,
I
I meditate
meditate.
because punching people is frowned upon. That's my shirt.
See? Yes, I love that. So I kind of realized I'm like, meditation is beautiful,
Uh-huh.
but we need more than just a 5-minute meditation in the morning. Like, what are we
Yes.
doing with the rest
Yeah.
of the day? Right. So I can
Yeah.
really vibe on all of those levels. So you specialize in DNA, functional DNA nutrition. Can you explain
Yes.
what that means and how understanding genes can transform our health?
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of people talking about this is what you should
Hmm.
put into your body. This is going to be the ingredient that's going to make you better. This is going to be the supplement that changes your life. This is going to be the thing that's going to make you lose weight,
Hmm.
right? So, I started back, you know, again, so long ago, you know, Dave Asbury came on and said, bulletproof coffee was the solution. You're going to lose weight if you put butter in your coffee every day. And what ended up happening for me is I put on 20 pounds.
Uh-huh.
And I said, Dave, what is going on? Like, this doesn't make sense. And he's like, you're doing it wrong. Like, he was just, this is going to work for you. And it was just, he wasn't, he was just being Dave. That's all I need to say.
Hmm.
Hard stop with that. Um, so, again, my curiosity was piqued of like, no, I don't think so. Like, something is wrong here. Like, something is not working in my body like other people's. So, functional DNA work is understanding the person's genetics and then putting a lifestyle around what
Mhm,
those genes actually need
mhm,
or what they don't need.
mhm,
Yeah. So I can look at cardiovascular. I can look at the brain, how somebody's brain is operating.
mhm.
I can look at fertility issues. I can look at bone issues. The whole body, right? Anything that comes up, the DNA is going to speak to it.
Amazing. So
Mm.
after someone receives their genetic data, I'm sure it
Uh-huh.
could feel incredibly overwhelming. And I've done this. I have done a genetic testing where I get a 90-page portfolio and I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So, how do you help clients translate complex genetic
Uh-huh.
information into simple, actionable lifestyle changes?
Yeah. It's really about meeting people where they're at.
Yes.
So I'll give you a great example. Um, there are genes that um, perhaps suggest that you should not drink coffee
Hmm.
or caffeine. Let's be specific. It's
Hmm.
caffeine. And so, many people are just slamming and living with caffeine. And many times I'll meet with a client and they don't realize that kombucha or tea or
Hmm.
their matcha latte has
Hmm.
that caffeine, and they're like, but it's good for me.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, their DNA is
Hmm.
this is something that you cannot detoxify in a manner that's healthy for your body. And so
Hmm.
that's why it's disrupting your sleep. That's why you can't get pregnant. This is why you have mood disruption. This is why your skin is breaking out. I mean, there's so many things that can occur. And
Hmm.
so what I'll say is, why don't we just take away coffee first and like, let's just remove that. And if they can't do that, then it's like, okay, what are the things that you're putting in your body that are caffeine driven? So usually it's chocolate, right?
Right.
That's always on the list. Coffee, tea. Uh, there's usually like four sources. So we start to eliminate one source at a time because I don't want somebody just to,
Totally.
cold turkey because it's never going to work. But coming off one thing at a time and
Mhm.
again, assessing what is happening to their body. And typically people will see immediate results. So that's
Mhm.
always a good thing.
Yeah, no, I believe in it, and I believe in really small, actionable steps, like small. You
Yeah.
can't go from all or nothing. That just is not attainable, and that would be miserable. And it's funny you talk about caffeine because when my profile came back, it
Uh-huh.
says that I metabolize caffeine really quickly. And
Uh-huh.
it's funny because I've always monitored when I have my last dose of caffeine during the day. And I'm not a big caffeinated person. I do drink a cup of coffee in the morning and then I drink a matcha latte around lunchtime. Like that is my like favorite thing. And I would wonder, like sometimes I'd be out and I would have a coffee because I was like so tired that day for some reason And an hour later, I was exhausted. It's because
Mm.
my body actually goes and metabolizes it so fast, sometimes it really does nothing for myself. And
Mhm.
so then I
Mhm.
like turn more towards making sure I'm really hydrated and the natural forms of all of it. So let's
Mhm.
talk about our food and our daily habits
Mhm.
and how do they really influence how our genes express themselves?
Mhm. Constantly. Constantly influencing, constantly, every everything that you put into your body, every
Uh-huh.
conversation that you have,
Yeah.
every stride that you take is affecting how your DNA is expressing. And so, uh, a lot of times, again, I'll work with somebody and they won't understand why they're not sleeping well.
Uh-huh.
Like, why is that?
Uh-huh.
And I can start off with like, well, what did you have for what's your dinner?
Uh-huh.
Right? Like, what time do you eat your dinner?
Uh-huh.
What time do you um, log off of all your tech? What time do you put your head on the pillow? Right? Because all of that matters for sleep.
Uh-huh.
But what they don't see is that that dinner meal, or keep it to that, right? So let's say they had some pork chops and they had some potatoes and they had some cucumbers and then they had the kombucha,
Uh-huh.
right? Like,
Right.
and going just into the saturated fat area, right? So let's just say the pork chop there's a big hunk of fat on there, and that right there is going to disrupt their DNA. Just that little part. So that's a disruption.
Mhm.
And then they're adding on top of it that the carbohydrate, and they put lots of butter on it, right? So there's more saturated fat, right? So if they have genes that can't process that saturated fat, it's building up in their system, causing really like a cycle of garbage. Like they
Right.
can't take the garbage out fast enough. Right, right. So if they have this meal that's heavy and fat forward, and they're the type of person that can't detoxify that, then they're not going to be sleeping well.
Uh-huh.
They're gonna have sleep disruption. Another
Uh-huh.
really great example is around hormones. Somebody who is, on birth control. I'm just gonna name it out. They're on birth control, and they can't really process that extra estrogen that they're getting. They
Mhm.
can't detoxify it. So that's putting them into that infertility state, right? So there's a lot of different ways that I can look at somebody's day, their life, and then make small tweaks so they can have better sleep, so they have a better chance of
Mm,
conceiving. There's many different areas
mm.
that I'm looking at.
That's amazing. Well, I would
Yeah,
love to learn more about your stress management sessions, which have become so incredibly sought after.
yeah.
What makes your approach to stress different than other methods out there?
I think I'm so not dogmatic about it. That was one of the things that I studied Buddhism 20 years ago. Like I landed in Thailand. I was like, this is my path. I'm going to, sleep on wooden pillows and eat rice. Like that's where I was at. And,
Mhm,
it worked for a little bit and then it didn't work. And when I came back to the States, I was like, like we have to have flexibility here. We have to be able to move through life. And so when I started teaching, it was, well, what works for you? Because what works for me doesn't
mhm,
work for all my students, you know? And so when I'm teaching now, I remember going to this MBSR, mindfulness based stress reduction course, and it was very structured 8 weeks. This is how we do it. And
mhm,
yeah, it was good, but it was so structured. And I remember other students being like, oh, this is great. This is great. But for me, I was like, this agitates the heck out of me. Like I'm more agitated now than when I walked
mhm,
in.
mhm,
And so one of the things, and I've had many different teachers and mentors over the past 15, almost 20 years, and I've taken little parts with me. And so when I'm teaching, I take those little parts and I say, here are your choices, here are different options. And I'm not just teaching meditation, I'm not just teaching mindfulness. I'm teaching somebody how to be comfortable in their body in
Mm.
any given situation, which is a game changer.
I mean, I feel like that's life goals right there. If you can just master that, I think you
Yeah.
master such a happy life. So I'm curious because stress has become such a
Yeah.
normalized part of modern life,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
From your perspective, why are so many people feeling chronically overwhelmed right now?
Yeah. Well, technology,
Mhm.
right? Like AI has driven, over the last 18 months, I work with many different organizations here in the city of San Francisco. And so I'll be working with librarians, I'll work with doctors, I'll work with first responders, and all of them have begun to break
Mm,
in a little different way than they were like 5 years ago. Or even, like even during COVID, it was just different. And people now are more tightly wound.
mhm.
And there's also a lot of avoidance happening now where people just can't even it's like, I can't respond to you. I can't do that. So there's that shutdown stage that people are getting into. And so really I'm trying to meet people where they're at and give them tools to just lower that stress because
Mm.
it's going to be here. It's not going away.
No, it's
We just keep walking towards it. And from a genetics perspective, right? If you have, I was
mm,
teaching peer support, these first responders last week, and one of the guys, he said, we did a practice, and then like immediately he's like, I'm still stressed. I was good for those minutes, and then I'm still
mm,
stressed. And I said, of course. Yes, you are. And I said, thank you so much for responding that way. And he's like, I can't deal. And I said, no, I said, I would put money on it that you have the genes, right, genetically, that are not clearing the stress in your body. So you can drop down to that state and then you're back in it again. But he wouldn't know that, right? He doesn't know that. He's just living his life and he's trying to get PTO. He's trying to like
yeah.
navigate the stress that he's under. But really, if you understand your genetics and understand that you have these genes, then you can make a different approach. You can apply different techniques
Mhm.
to who you are and how you want to live. Does that make
I love
sense?
that. It makes perfect sense. And I
Yeah.
really love that you keep on coming back to meeting someone where they are because I think that is so important. I think that reduction and regulation is really bio individual and really
Mhm.
depends on where we're at. But for
Yeah.
someone right now who's listening to our conversation,
Yeah.
they're completely burned out.
Mm.
What is the first step towards nervous system healing?
Admitting that you have a problem, like literally, like I am stressed out. I have a situation here and I need to find help
Mm,
or get help because you can't do it on your own. You cannot. You can try to meditate it all away, but mm-mm. It's
mm,
you have to have like either a support group or a mentor or a
mm,
therapist to kind of walk you through it, especially the kind of stress that I'm seeing now.
mhm,
It's intense out there. I mean, I had a session last week with a younger, her parents had reached out to me, a younger person uh, in college, and just it's so much anxiety, can't catch her breath, can't breathe, right? And it's like again, like support, find your support, and there's so many ways to find that support these days. Yeah.
yeah, there it is, and I do see I could definitely, like, see genetic components, like, in my family and the different
Mhm,
generations, which family members are
mhm,
naturally more stressed out than others, and I do
mhm.
agree with you, I think with anything in life that you want to fix and you want to change, the first step is acknowledging,
Yeah,
"This isn't working for me," and
yeah.
then seeking the help to change it, so I think that's great advice for everyone out there.
Yeah, I think it's hard to understand that when you're in it because
Absolutely.
we've normalized it so much,
Mhm.
because it's just
Mhm.
life. It's just
Mhm.
life to have 2 cell phones and 3 screens.
Mhm.
No, it isn't.
Mhm.
Like, no, it isn't.
It
You're
isn't.
choosing that. which, okay, that's your choice, but
Mhm.
your body cannot sustain that. Like, don't lie
No.
about it. Like, do like, you know?
Yeah, no, our bodies are not designed, and
Yeah,
I think a lot of people naturally, unfortunately, are always in the fight, flight, freeze, like, they are always in that state without even realizing it. So,
right.
what are some signs that someone could take today to realize that their nervous system is indeed dysregulated?
Yeah, pain.
Mm.
Pain is a really like, people think, "Oh, I just have back pain or my neck hurts," right? Like, and they've become that's, like, normalized, but that is such a clincher. The
Yeah,
jaw, a tight jaw is another one, tired eyes.
I'm feeling that right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
tired eyes is another one. Sometimes
Mm.
there's, like, a little bit of a brain fog that can come about, memory issues. Those are kind of the top 4 that I see constantly that
I
surface.
think that's really interesting. And also, I mean, I'm kind of in the age of the perimenopause talk, and those are
Mhm,
also a lot of symptoms of
mhm, mhm.
perimenopause. So I think the best thing to do is indeed, if you're feeling anything off, just like you said, pain, brain fog, all of this, it is
Yeah,
definitely signs that your body is telling you something and to
mhm.
definitely figure out where that's coming from. So, what are a few simple practices someone today can begin implementing to support their nervous system?
Yeah. I always start with just, like, put your phone away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just retire your phone and commit to it. That commitment is is the key, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you could say, "Oh, I'm gonna put my phone down. I'm gonna retire my phone," and then, 20 minutes later, they picked it back up again. So, there
Yeah.
is something deeply, embedded in us where we like commitment. We like it. We like to
Mm-hmm.
do that. So, genetically, we have to be mindful of that because if there's a couple of genes that are like, "Nope, I'm just gonna pick it up anyway, doesn't matter." So, being understanding that that could be you,
Mm-hmm.
but committing to putting the phone away at a certain time is where I start with people. The next thing that I do with people is understanding their sleep window, understanding that, it's not 9 o'clock. It's not some arbitrary number. Like, that is not your sleep window. A sleep window is the time when you start to feel tired. Like, literally, it could be right after dinner.
Mm-hmm.
It could be, as you're making dinner and understanding that and being empathetic with, like, "Wow, my sleep window is like 8:30." Like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, okay." Yeah, yeah, and really, like, "Okay, that's where I'm at, and that's okay. And my family's gonna stay up later, and I'm gonna retire because I'm gonna take care of me, right? So having the grace to say, I'm gonna take care of me is such a big part of regulating your nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is just becoming familiar with capacity. And I talk about capacity a lot. And that's, you know, now we call it bandwidth, having the
Mm-hmm.
bandwidth to do something, but capacity is a more clinical term where it's just having the space uh, to go out in the world, having the ability to respond to emails. But the capacity is also saying, I've had enough, right? So understanding that, okay, I've had enough today. I'm going to deal with that tomorrow and being okay with it. That's really important.
It is, and everything you're saying right now, I feel so deeply because I believe that when you find your actual true alignment, you feel
Mm,
like you're living in your most authentic self
yeah.
is when you do put the phone away, when you do sit in silence, and when you do
Mhm.
find the cues coming. Your body is so intelligent
So
and
intelligent.
it tells you everything. It's just,
Yeah.
are you willing to listen or not? I'm such a big sleep nerd, and I always my entire life. I
Mhm.
hate staying up late. I don't do well. I don't function. I know I need to go to sleep early.
Mhm.
And it has
Mhm.
always been such a struggle with a social life and even now with my kids. I mean, it's like,
Mhm.
guys, I'm done. This is where
Yeah.
mommy really checks out. and it's time for you guys to go into your rooms. I need to get rest. Like, I know that about myself, and
Yeah.
I feel seen, Lane.
That's awesome.
I've never felt so seen. So you've created the Self Mastery Hub, which is such a powerful concept. What inspired you to build this?
I think it's I want people to understand themselves,
Mhm.
right? Because once we have that understanding of who we are, we
Mhm.
create less shame.
Mhm.
There's less destruction, self-destruction. There's less rumination, right?
Mhm.
Because again, what you just
Mhm.
said, Stacey, it's like the body is listening
Oh, yeah.
always, right? It is
Are
always
we?
listening. So if we have a stressful day, if we have a moment with our kid, with our partner where we're like, "Arr," right? We're holding that. The body's like, oh, I'm not doing great right now. I'm not safe. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna keep you up tonight. Right. So
Mhm.
making sure that people understand that that's really
Mhm.
why I want people to understand who they
Mhm.
are, how they
Mhm.
operate. And I think the DNA is so critical for that.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So, how does the hub help people align their biology with awareness and create
Yeah.
sustainable change?
Yeah. Inside this hub area, like I have articles. I have a ton of articles in there around different genetic genes. There's different practices. There's there's coursework. There's
Mm,
everything. Everything that I teach is in there, right? So that's really a place to go to learn. Yeah.
amazing. And so, what does true self mastery mean to you?
hmm It's understanding how you walk in the world,
Mm,
and having the space to forgive yourself if you have a bad day, if you do snap at somebody, uh, being able to uh,
mm,
tell somebody your needs
mm,
and desires
mhm,
without having
mm,
this, oh, I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know if that's going to work for them. I don't know if it's going to work for me. Oh, I'm just going to not say anything, right? Like, no, like all that. If we keep holding on to all of that, we
mm,
don't move forward in our life. And as
mm,
humans, we need to continually evolve, because if
mhm.
we're not evolving, we are becoming stagnant. And when we're stagnant, life is not fun for us.
No, it is not. It absolutely
Yeah.
is not. And one thing I'm hearing from you, like a big
Mm.
theme, is that
Yeah.
so many of us in this world try to push through stress.
Yeah.
When the real transformation happens when we begin listening to our bodies and
Yeah.
working through with our biology, with our genes, instead of against it.
Yeah.
So, in your work, helping people transform stress, burnout, and fatigue into resilience, what patterns do you see in the people who really, truly begin to thrive in that?
Somebody will come to me who is just burnt out and they're just like, I'm broken. I just can't do this anymore. Or they're going through a divorce, or like they're on the precipice of ugh. And the people who come into my world, they're looking for something else.
Mhm,
They've tried the yoga nidras. They've tried all the diets. They've tried, they've tried, and they're like, "Pff, it's not working.
mhm,
What do you have, Lane?"
mhm,
And they are enthusiastic
mhm,
about wanting to get somewhere in their life. I think that's been like a core element in all my
mhm,
students or all my clients, is that's been a big part of their drive, is they want to live a little bit differently. And when they find me, they're like, "Oh, okay. Yes,
yeah,
this is
like, "Where
great."
have you been all my life,
Yeah,
Lane?"
exactly. And it's like there are a lot of teachers out there, right? There are a lot of great mentors out there. There are a lot of great coaches. There's a lot, right? We're all doing really wonderful work, but it's finding that one that works for you,
Mhm,
which
mhm.
is that's where the game changes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about Lane and where she's at right now. So, like on
Yeah.
Never Miss a Monday, we talk about our non negotiables, like
Mm,
all of the things that we hit on a Monday and therefore hope the rest of the week follows. So,
mm.
what does living in alignment with your own biology look like in your life right now?
So now I go to the beach every day. I'm there for at least an hour. Uh, Sometimes I sit, sometimes I walk. There's no pressure in my life at all. I can't afford to have any pressure in my life. I eat 4 meals a day. Uh, they are timed meals, which is just wild to think about that. But now, as I know my nervous system, it's reliant upon that timing. Uh, I make sure that I have to drink salt water, so I have to keep the salt in all day long. I'm in bed, my sleep window, right? So
Mm,
I'm in bed at 9 o'clock. I'm sleeping before 10 o'clock. Uh,
mhm,
I make sure that I am of service every day. So sometimes that's picking up trash at the beach. Sometimes that's going to the zoo. I volunteer at the zoo, so I'm a docent. Sometimes that's doing something at my child's school. I have client load, so I'm working, periodically and teaching all the time. So I have a very full life, but I have no pressure. Like it just doesn't exist anymore. Like if I have to change things, I have to change things. Like I've given myself permission to just say, this is where I'm at today. Okay, great.
That's
Yeah. So,
amazing, and I don't know how many people in this world can actually say that they're living pressure-free, and I
uh,
think that is a beautiful goal for all of us
yeah.
listening. So, if our listeners today
Mm,
could take one message away from our conversation, what would you want it to be?
mm. I think you have to know yourself,
Mm,
right? You have to be willing to know yourself. You have to like put your hand on your heart and listen for what it has to say to you because nobody's going to tell you the answer. Like nobody's going to give you that. You have to discover it on your own in your body's time. The
mm.
body has its own timeline. And that is just it is evident to me every single day is that you could think you're going in one direction, but your
Mhm.
body's going to take you somewhere else. So, really, like, again, hand to heart, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to see? Who do you want me to be? Like, those are the questions that you have to land with and listen to. I hope that resonates with someone.
No, it didn't resonate with me at all. I just cried while you said that. I felt that so deeply, and I think that's the most beautiful message, honestly. I'm very
Mm.
thankful for that, Lane. So where can people connect with you and learn more about your work?
Sure. Everything is at lanekennedy.com. All
Mm.
my social media, my Substack, all my free content, everything, lanekennedy.com.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, what today's conversation reminds all of us is that our bodies are incredibly intelligent.
Mhm.
When we begin to understand our own biology and support our nervous system with intention, we create the foundation for real resilience, clarity, and well being. Lane, I can't thank you enough for being here. You are just a blessing, and I
Thank
appreciate you
you.
sharing your energy with me and the beautiful work that you do. So, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being here, Lane.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Mhm.